The movie begins as a mysterious man in a suit arrives at an isolated hotel named Renata. He's seeking solitude, hoping to escape his daily life. The hotel manager welcomes him and leads him to his room, where he meticulously arranges his belongings, revealing an almost obsessive tendency for order. After settling in, he ventures out to explore the quiet, seemingly empty hotel. He wanders through various spaces, the pool, the billiard room, yet the emptiness only deepens his sense of intrigue and confusion. When night falls, he tries to sleep but struggles. Frustrated, he turns on the TV, which only broadcasts Animal Planet. Unsatisfied, he leaves his room again and heads to the hotel bar, where he encounters a young bartender who offers him a drink. However, noticing a posted rule forbidding drinks after 9 p.m., he politely declines. The following morning, he joins the hotel's dining room for breakfast and sits beside an elderly lady. Though he holds a book, his attention frequently shifts to his surroundings, observing everything with a mix of curiosity and bewilderment. The elderly lady attempts to start a conversation, but he appears distracted, as if preoccupied by something else. After breakfast, he returns to his room, only to notice a woman named Ginny practicing yoga nearby. He watches her briefly until she catches him staring. He quickly retreats. Later, he spots the hotel manager putting up various hotel rules on the wall. Beside the manager is his wife, a woman immobilized in a wheelchair, who fixes an eerie, unblinking gaze on the stranger. He feels unsettled by her presence, yet can't resist glancing back. Later that day, he heads to the pool for a swim. After a few laps, he settles onto a lounger with his book in hand. Ginny soon joins him, her beauty capturing his attention. She starts a conversation, and he finds himself drawn to her. However, before they can get far, Ginny's boyfriend arrives, whisking her away. That night, the stranger returns to the bar, where the bartender offers him a cigarette. He notices a no smoking sign nearby and hesitates, but the bartender dismisses it, remarking that rules only restrict pleasure. This time, the man decides to break the rule. He lights the cigarette, awkwardly coughing. It's clearly his first time smoking. The bartender gives him tips, teaching him to savor the experience. Later that night, as he tries to sleep, he hears soft moans from Ginny's room next door. The sound stirs his emotions, and he struggles to control himself. Overcome by the moment, he succumbs to his own impulses. The next morning, he heads to the dining area for breakfast, where he notices the bartender peeking into the elderly lady's room from the day before. Disturbed, the stranger reprimands him, and the bartender reluctantly leaves. But soon, curiosity gets the better of him, and he peeks inside as well, discovering a bizarre scene. The elderly woman is performing a strange ritual with a priest, who seems to be punishing himself in an act of penance. After breakfast, he visits the billiard room, where he meets a businessman. In their conversation, he asks if the businessman has noticed anything strange about the hotel. The businessman dismisses his concerns, but noticing the stranger's troubled expression, offers him a pill, promising it will make him feel like a different person. Intrigued but hesitant, the man eventually accepts. The next day, the businessman offers him more pills, but with a condition. The stranger must help him find a lost key. While searching, he stumbles upon the manager's wife in the hallway and notices a pendant around her neck, suspecting it might be the key he needs. He reaches for it, only to find a ring. Frustrated, he searches her pockets and finally discovers the key. With the key in hand, he heads to the businessman's room, hoping to exchange it for more pills. However, upon arrival, he finds the businessman already occupied, playing poker with the hotel manager. The stranger is invited to join the game. As it proceeds, the manager is called away, leaving him alone with the businessman. Seizing the opportunity, the stranger discreetly hands over the key. The businessman rewards him with a small bottle containing more pills. Sensing the stranger's eagerness, he proposes another game. If the stranger wins, he'll receive an additional bottle. If he loses, he forfeits the one he currently holds. Despite the stakes, the stranger agrees, and to his surprise, wins again, securing both bottles. Later, as the stranger unwinds by the pool, the bartender approaches him and comments on the previous night's odd performance. He shares his frustration with the hotel manager, explaining that these performances are forced on the employees as a means of control. The manager manipulates everyone through fear, keeping them subdued and compliant. The two talk casually, and as the bartender leans closer, there's a hint of romantic interest. But their moment is interrupted when the maid arrives with towels, abruptly breaking the connection. That evening, while the stranger is enjoying a bath, a loud knock startles him. Quickly wrapping a towel around himself, he answers the door to find the bartender standing there, inviting him to a family dinner with his father and sister. Though hesitant, the stranger agrees and follows the bartender to a modest dining room where the manager's family is gathered. He notices that the maid is present but excluded from the meal, attending to the family as a servant. Intrigued, the stranger asks about her treatment, but the manager dismissively explains that someone must be on duty. The dinner continues in tense silence until a heated exchange erupts between the manager and his son over the hotel's rigid rules. The stranger feels increasingly uncomfortable and, unable to bear the tension, excuses himself and leaves. Late that night, as he lies in bed, he hears quiet sobbing. Stepping outside, he finds the maid crying softly. When he offers to help, she shakes her head and flees, whispering that no one can truly help her. Later, as he wanders the halls, he stumbles upon a control room filled with screens showing feeds from hidden cameras. Horrified, he realizes that every room in the hotel is under constant surveillance. Panicking, he searches his own room for any hidden cameras. Suddenly, his TV turns on, displaying scenes from around the hotel. He sees footage of the maid delivering pills to the businessman, assisting the elderly woman, and even sharing intimate moments with Ginny's boyfriend. Growing more alarmed, he realizes the hotel is hiding dark secrets. Determined to uncover the truth, he sneaks into an unoccupied room using the key given to him by the bartender. Inside, he discovers a makeshift laboratory filled with syringes, vials, and medical equipment. Papers and notes scattered around the room reveal strange experiments, including references to genetic modifications and pregnancies. Shocked, he grows increasingly certain that the hotel's staff and guests are involved in illegal activities, manipulating the guests and possibly conducting disturbing experiments. In his search for answers, he finds himself outside Ginny's room. When he enters, he sees her boyfriend injecting her with an unknown substance. Outraged, the stranger confronts him, but before he can act, the hotel manager appears and forcefully restrains him, locking him in his own room. Bewildered and anxious, the stranger realizes he is now a virtual prisoner within the hotel. As the night deepens, the bartender arrives at the stranger's door once more, sending the maid inside under orders to keep the stranger company. Initially resistant, the maid reluctantly agrees after the bartender threatens to destroy something she cherishes. Sensing her fear, the stranger sees an opportunity and formulates a plan for them to escape together. They begin their attempt, but the bartender, watching through the surveillance feed, quickly alerts the other guests, who fall into an eerie robotic compliance, blocking the pair's path. Meanwhile, the hotel manager, infuriated by his son's actions, confronts the bartender, trying to regain control of the hotel's systems. But the bartender locks his father inside the control room, trapping him. Desperate, the manager struggles to break free, but his attempts lead to a severe injury, resulting in his death. As the stranger and the maid approach the hotel's exit, he suddenly suffers a heart attack and collapses. Struggling to get back on his feet, he begins to stand, only for the bartender to arrive and forcefully knock him down again. The other guests seize the maid, stripping away her last defenses. The bartender moves menacingly towards her, his intentions clear and dark, while the stranger watches, helpless. In the final scene, the stranger regains consciousness, finding himself alone with the lifeless body of the maid. Overcome with grief, he drags her body toward the exit, where he encounters the immobilized woman from before, now lying cold and unresponsive. Tears streaming down his face, he softly sings the song the maid once performed, honoring her memory in this solemn moment. The scene then shifts, revealing the stranger sitting alone in the hotel's dimly lit lounge, clutching the red book he'd been reading earlier. The line between reality and imagination blurs, leaving viewers to question, was this a true series of events, or simply the stranger's disturbed perception, a manifestation of his mind entangled in the pages of a haunting story? The movie leaves much open to interpretation. Was it all a figment of the stranger's imagination, a cyclical nightmare, or a twisted reality? Thank you for watching. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments, like the video, and stay tuned for more recaps.